Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. And another one, how did he do that? Well, today we're going to take a look at this shot. Now, when you set something up, it's always, you know the funny thing with me is I never really know what I'm going to do. Most of these videos are shot during workshops. Most of the work that I do is shot during workshops. And one of the things that I always find interesting is the more I teach, the more I start to realize that I don't want to prepare anything because I can literally react to everything that the students ask me. So if somebody really struggles with, for example, combining light sources, no problem at all. I don't have any program. I only know we're going to do something, for example, with smoke. So let's combine light sources. And that's actually how this started. They started with the normal workshop, smoke and gels. And I never ever had the idea to combine light sources. But one of the students said, hey Frank, can you also work with LED tubes combined with strobes? And yes, of course you can. Now there are a few things you have to realize. First of all, you're combining two light sources. You're combining strobes, which is a pulse, and you're combining a LED tube, which is a continuous light source. So that means that the strobe, for example, 2.8 is there, boom, that's 2.8. But if you want to have 2.8 on a continuous light source, it actually starts at 0 and then it builds up to 2.8. So in essence, one might say that the aperture is the strobe and the shutter speed is the ambient continuous lighting. And that's actually how it works. So the first thing we do is we set up the strobe, in this case an Hansel beauty dish with a grid. I absolutely love that modifier. It's one of the best beauty dishes I ever worked with. We aimed this at our model at the lowest setting possible because we're combining ambient light, right? So we need the lowest possible. That ended up at about 2.8 ISO 100. One of the main advantages of the Hansel strobes is that they can go really low. So even on a 500 watt strobe, I can go down more than enough to get that really nice low light output. But enough about that. So we set it up for that strobe. At that point, we wanted also some light from the back. A nice blue gel, for example. And when you do a blue gel, you don't want a little bit. You want it like boom in there. But we also wanted that LED tube in. Now for that LED tube, it's important that we shoot on the lowest possible aperture to let in as much ambient light as possible, right? So we were already on 2.8. The only thing I now had to do is switch between my shutter speeds to see what I like. I don't want that LED tube to be totally white and just some red light emitting from it, no. We want that tube to be a little bit white, of course, because it has to blow out, otherwise it looks fake. But then I want on the sides, I already want that nice red glow. Now for that glow we're using the black mist filters, that always helps. But even without it you can see a little bit of glow. So now that we have the shutter speed and we have our strobes, you can shoot images. But at that point I was going like, maybe it would be much more interesting to create something interesting, because now we have a gel on the back, we have that strobe and we have our light on our model. But it isn't really combined yet. A little bit of smoke is the glue. And I was still looking at the image, I was going like, yeah, okay, so we have that blue gel on the back, we have that nice tube. It doesn't really attract so much to me like, wow, this is a great shot. So how did I solve that? Well, at one point I thought, why not use the leading line of that tube and go straight into that blue gel? And that worked like a charm. And at that point, I only lowered my position, shooting up into that blue gel. The funny thing is, at that point, Anneweek actually said, hey, why are you shooting against the blue gel? Why? And she looked at the image coming in on the monitor. She said, oh, now I know why. It almost looks like she has this magic wand. So, in essence, what is the tip for today? Of course, the lighting setup, lower angles, shooting with those angles. But also be creative. Be flexible. If you understand lighting and if you know how to set it up, it's so much more fun to play with lighting. So, know your lighting and you know that your shutter speed will control that ambient light. And now you can also turn that you can also turn that ambient light harder or softer. In other words, change your shutter speed. Faster shutter speed, less ambient light. Slower shutter speed, more ambient light. Right? So you can still combine this. Do be careful. Because with this LED tube we have a lot of light, and that also means that if you lower the shutter speed too much, it will infect on the face, and that doesn't look right. So always make sure that although you see the tube, keep it a little bit away from the face, unless of course you want that effect. You can create great images with that, but in this case we didn't want that. That was our tip for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do, subscribe to our channel, leave comments below, and of course smash that like button because we really like it. But most of all, tell other people about our channel so we can grow. See you next time and stay creative.